Hey everyone, Mitch coming in from the Commander Score Studio. Welcome to the show. So, a lot of exciting spoilers have been happening during Lord of the Rings spoiler season, and this one has been on the back of my mind ever since it came out, just kind of tinkering through and thinking, about all the different iterations of ways to break this card, because, well, when it was spoiled, this is just the kind of card when you see it, you're like, yeah, that has to be broken somehow, right? And, yeah, let's just talk about all the different ways to break this card, this brand new commander with Ioreth of the Houses of Healing. And a big thank you to MTG Goldfish for the translated version of this card. A 1/4 legendary creature human cleric for 2 and a blue that says tap, untapping another target permanent, or tap, untap 2 other target legendary creatures. Now, a couple of things. Number 1. This is just straight up, just a regular untapper, kind of like a, we'll get to like some of the examples here in a bit. I think like River Kelpie is one that essentially just does the exact same thing, like untapping a target permanent. That's already a valuable thing. You can untap, well, other creatures that have active abilities. You can even untap a land for ramp. I mean, untapping, say, a artifact like a Mana Rock, maybe like a Soul Ring. That can obviously give you a lot of advantage. And, yeah, there's a lot of permanents that you might want to untap, especially if you've got a deck built around that like I do. Like, my Garth deck, yes, definitely wants this. That being said, the potential for brokenness is in that second ability. Tap, untap 2 other target legendary creatures. Now, this one, again, is slightly different than the first ability in that, well, it untaps 2 things. And secondly, it has a restriction. Instead of being any permanent, it's legendary creatures. Now, that makes it a bit harder to break. That being said, of course, this can be broken, and there are actually plenty of ways to do it. So in this episode, again, I'm going to be taking you through all the ways that I could think of to break this card. I'm sure there are definitely more out there. Actually, and I'm going to say, as the commander, as one of the 99, there's plenty of other ways to break this. But since you are in, mono blue, there's a more limited amount than if you had access to all 5 colors, obviously. That being said, this commander still has a lot of potential, I think. Again, if you're playing against this one, you better be on the lookout for some of these combinations because, well, you don't want it to surprise you, and you want to be able to look out for exactly what pieces that player might be trying to utilize to infinitely activate things. And also, if you see this just in the 99 of a deck, I'm sure there are some crazy shenanigans going on, too. Maybe in my Garth deck, we shall see. Regardless, in this episode, again, I'm going to take you through the budget buys, cards that are less than $1, and the price your picks cards that are more than $1. All these cards are going to be in the description below in a link. And yeah, if you're interested in this commander, make sure you check out that link. That being said, on this episode, I'm going to go through things a little differently because I'm actually going through the pricier picks first, even though I usually do the budget buys first because it just makes more sense to do so with the way that I'm talking about these broken pieces. So, with all that said, let's jump into those pricier picks. Again, cards outside my budget, cards that are more than $1, but might be within your budget. And the first one, which is quite expensive that I want to bring up, is Sakashima of 1,000 Faces. Now, unfortunately, or actually probably fortunately, this brand new commander does not have partner because this would be an incredibly crazy and broken combination. But yeah, Sakashima 1,000 Faces makes a lot of things possible with this commander. A 3/1 human rogue for 3 and a blue. You may have it enter the battlefield as a copy of another creature you control, except it has Sakashima 1,000 Faces' other abilities. And it says the legend rule doesn't apply to permanents you control, which is huge. Breaking the legend rule means that, hey, I can have this enter as a copy of Ioreth, and therefore, it's another legendary Ioreth, which is fine. And both of them have the exact same abilities, meaning that I can use one to untap the other, as well as another legendary creature. And then I can also use this one to do the same. So, basically, infinite activations of another legendary creature, and, yeah, or any other legendary creatures, or, yeah, just infinite activations. You can just do an infinite amount of things pretty crazily, and, yeah, there's a lot of examples of some pretty crazy things and some pretty crazy things that you can do with this, including, well, timming someone to 0, which is great. That's a weird phrase, timming someone to 0. You'll get it when we get there. Regardless, yeah, Sakashima is a great combination card with this commander. There are other things that we can do as well, and other clones that can interact as well. Let's move on to the next one with Irenicus's Vile Duplication. It's kind of hard to say. Create tokens copy a target creature you control, except the token is flying isn't legendary if the creature is legendary. Now, this one's a bit different because, again, Sakashima is a legendary creature, and it says the legend rule doesn't apply. So, therefore, you can use, the original to untap the new one, which is Shakashima. This one's kind of the opposite. You utilize the new token of your commander that you are making to essentially, well, not untap that one because that one is not going to be legendary. You're going to utilize the second ability of the token to untap your commander as well as another legendary creature. And then you use your commander's ability to tap and untap target permanent, which is going to be the cloned copy. You see? So basically, again, you are doing that exact same loop, but kind of in reverse. And there you go. Infinite activations of another creature. In a very similar way, Spark Double. Basically, a really, really good clone, a very expensive one. Enter the battlefield as a copy of creature planeswalker, except it enters with a +1 counter. We don't really care about that. The important thing is, it isn't legendary if that permanent is legendary. So again, like Irenicus's duplication, your Spark Double is going to be the one that is key. The Spark Double is going to tap to untap 2 other legendary creatures, and then your Ioreth is only going to tap to untap this Spark Double. So again, because that Spark Double's activation and being able to untap 2 legendary creatures, the other legendary creature is what you're going to focus on in that ability that it has to use it infinitely. And we'll talk about some of those creatures here in a little bit. Next up, Mirror Box, yet another way to break this, and there are plenty of ways to tutor for artifacts, including this one, artifacts like this one. Mirror Box is a great card and one that just opens up a lot of possibilities for this commander. The legend rule doesn't apply to permanents you control. Each legendary creature you control gets +1. Each non-token creature you control gets +1 for each other creature you control with the same name as that creature. This one, again, essentially opens up the possibility that you can get a clone copy of your commander. So again, any clone will apply to this. And if you get that clone copy, again, hey, your commander, again, is just going to be the kind of like supporting role. It's going to untap another target permanent. The clone is going to be doing the double work, essentially, right? It's going to be the one that is doing that, hey, untap 2 things, because you can untap your commander still and untap another legendary creature. In a similar way, actually in the exact same way, essentially, Mirror Gallery. This one is slightly different, and it says the legend rule doesn't apply. This counts towards everyone's permanent, so sure, if your opponents have some clone shenanigans, they can take advantage of that as well. Probably unlikely. That being said, just keep in mind this does impact your opponents as well. But yeah, for you, hey, what matters is you can clone your commander with any kind of clone. Not just Irenicus's duplication, not just Sakashima, not just Spark Double. Any clone will do to get infinite combo going. Next up, in a weird way, Ley Line of Singularity. And the reverse kind of works too. If it's in your opening hand, you can begin the game and play. Basically, with like every ley line, essentially it has that. So yeah, sure, if you got lucky enough that's in your opening hand, just put it right into play. You don't have to pay for it. All non-lane permanents are legendary. So this makes every single non-lane permanent in the battlefield legendary, which is quite hilarious. And yeah, in other formats like not like Commander, this would apply more to like be like, okay, you can't have duplicates. But in Commander, this really doesn't apply to a lot of things except probably like clones. But what this does do is it opens up the possibility to say, okay, I've got another creature, like I think I mentioned River Kelpie, I believe is the one earlier, or like a Feto Alchemist, a creature that can actually tap to untap another permanent, but it might not be legendary itself. This one makes it so that now those creatures are legendary. Everything is legendary, right? So your commander can untap any 2 of your creatures. Any 2 of your creatures. It doesn't matter if they're originally legendary or not. Now they are, again, legendary Feto Alchemist, which can tap to untap another target artifact or creature. You tap your commander, untap that, as well as another legendary creature that has an activation, or now a legendary creature, and there you go. You have an infinite loop going on because that other creature can now untap your commander, which can untap. Yeah, there's all these untap shenanigans and go on, but yeah, there's a lot of different ways to go about this. And actually, another way is with another Sakashima, Sakashima the Imposter. Comes into play, you may choose a creature in play. If you do, it comes a copy of it, except its name is still Sakashima the Imposter, and it's still legendary. And you can also bounce it back to your hand. Regardless, again, if you have that, River Kelpie, a Feto Alchemist, any of those kinds of creatures in play, which I will mention another kind of combo that you can do with all those as well, and this entire deck can just be a giant combo machine. Hey, if you make this into a copy of, again, say, a Feto Alchemist, which can tap to untap a creature, now this is a legendary copy of that, essentially. So now your commander can tap, untap 2 legendary creatures, including Sakashima, which has the ability to tap and untap it. So there you go. Again, there's a lot of different ways, a lot of different webs that you can utilize, essentially, to be like, oh, combo here, combo here, combo here, combo here. So again, if you are playing against this commander, just know that there's a lot of things that can absolutely wreck you. Moving on. Here we go. Now when it comes to kind of one of the payoffs of this, Jace Vryn's Prodigy, This one is actually more limited because, well, you kind of are limited to, hey, only having a certain amount of cards in your graveyard. This is just an example of one tapper, though. Tap, draw a card, discard a card. If there are 5 more cards in your graveyard, you exile it, then you return it to the battlefield transformed. So this one is going to flip earlier, unless maybe there's a way that you get rid of your graveyard, but still. There is, you know, a good amount of creatures out there that actually have activate abilities you can activate for free. The thing actually with that is that most of those actually are budget. The legendary ones, I should say, are budget. So I'll be bringing up those here in a little bit. Just want to give an example of a free one in the pricier picks as well. Then there's Empress Galena. This one is not a free activation. That being said, it's an incredibly powerful one. Blue, tap, gain control of target legendary, or sorry, target legend or legendary permanent. So again, hey, you might not be generating infinite mana. There are ways to do it. But right now, even if you just have, let's say, 8 lands in play, 8 islands or whatever, you have 8 mana, cool. You gain control of 4 legends. You can gain control of your opponent's, like, commanders, essentially, with this repeatedly once you get your combo going. And of course, like I mentioned, yeah, there are ways to go infinite. Again, if you've got Leyline of Singularity in play, you got, say, a Fellow Alchemist, maybe like a Silvermere, yeah, you would have infinite mana as well, and then you could infinitely do this too. So there you go. I mean, I guess it's limited based on the number of legends that are out there, but you know what I mean. Moving on, let's go on to the budget buys now. And we're going to be talking about a different way to combo first, and then we'll talk about all those other juicy payoffs for these combos. And first up, well, we've got Unctus Grand Metattack. An incredibly powerful commander in its own right. Incredibly powerful card in the 99 for decks that want to use it in a broken way. Yeah, this thing is broken. This thing is definitely going to have this brand new commander that I'm talking about now in this deck as well, because, yeah, it's pretty good. A 2/4 Phyrexian Vidalcan. Other blue creatures you control have, whenever this creature comes tapped, draw a card, then discard a card. And of course, with this, actually, other artifact creatures get +1. And then pay a Phyrexian blue until turn target creature control comes as a blue artifact as other types. You don't really need that ability for the most part in, you know, your mono blue deck, but hey, cool. So what's going to happen is, again, all you need is your commander and then any other creature that can tap to untap it. And there you go. You have infinite tap and untap. Again, a Fellow Alchemist actually can just do it on its own. Like a River Kelpie, which again says untap another target permanent, just like your commander does. Use both of them. You can just infinitely mill yourself, go through your entire deck, maybe get to the exact card that you need to win. Maybe you've got Psychosis Crawler in play to drain your opponents. Maybe you've got a way to essentially win, like, you know, a Thassa's Oracle or a, you know, a Lab Maniac. I don't know why I slipped on Lab Maniac there, but yeah. Any of those ways to win by actually milling yourself. So it's another direction that you can utilize, again, with this kind of a commander, or again, one that this commander can actually fit in the deck of if Unctus is the commander. Moving on, Vizier of Tumbling Sands. Yeah, I just want to give examples, again, like River Kelpie. Hey, there are a lot of creatures out there that can tap to untap another target permanent. Utilize them very effectively with a commander like this. Again, if you've got ways like that Sakashima the Imposter, or if you've got a way like, you know, the Leyline of Singularity, now these are legendary, and now these can combo with your commander. So there you go. Or again, they can just combo with Unctus too. So yeah, there's a lot of different possibilities. Next up, Mirror Image. This one, again, you've got a lot of access to a lot of good clones, including budget ones as well. And again, once you kind of have, you know, that mirror box in play, you can say, oh, I'll just make a non-legendary copy of my commander with something like Mirror Image, enters the battlefield as a copy of any creature you control, and then I can go infinite from there, and again, in those ways that I described. Next up, Jacob Hawken Inspector. This one is kind of like Jace Vryn's Prodigy, but it's not limited to, you know, the number of cards in your graveyard before it flips. This one you can choose to flip or not. Tap, draw a card, then exile a card from your hand face down. And then this can actually flip, so you can utilize those cards as well. But essentially, again, if you are going infinite with this whole tap on tap, again, this is a legendary creature. You can tap this an infinite amount of times, essentially, while you are kind of, you know, limited based on your library size. But yeah, if you've got Thassa's Oracle, Win Condition, you've got Jace Maniac, Jace Wielder Mysteries, or Lab Maniac, you can win in that way. Or yeah, if you just want to utilize this to kind of just sift through your library to get the exact card that you need to win, then do that. Next up, Emery Lurker of a Lock. This one's got a couple of ways that it could probably go infinite. But yeah, this one is a pretty broken commander in its own right. Enters the battlefield, mill 4. You can tap it and choose target artifact card in your graveyard, cast that card this turn. This one, I mean, if you've got something like, say, Lion's Eye Diamond, sure, you can generate infinite mana. If you've got, I'm not going to say Black Lotus because it doesn't work, but yeah, like Jewel Lotus. If you've got Lotus Petal, there you go. That's another one that could help you as well. You've got a lot of different ways that essentially you can be like, oh, okay, I get just basically infinite sacrificing of an artifact because I keep recasting my graveyard for free if it costs 0 or whatnot. There's different ways to go about this. If you got to sacrifice Outlet plus Soul Ring, that would work as well. Basically, just, hey, you've got infinite access to artifacts in your graveyard. Next up, I kind of talked about Tim's, right? And Revika? I don't remember. Wizard, Savant. This one's a bit of a weird one, an old one, and yeah, it is legendary. Tap, it deals 2 damage to target creature or player and does not untap during your next untap phase. That doesn't matter because, again, we've got plenty of ways to untap it. And again, if we are tapping it infinitely, hey, that's infinite damage to all of our opponent's creatures and their faces. So again, you can Tim your opponents out of the game, which is kind of like I mentioned earlier. Moving on, Azami Native Scrolls. This one's pretty simple. Tap and untap wizard you control, draw a card, and of course, Azami is a wizard. So there you go. You can tap Azami essentially infinitely, not infinitely, limited based on your library size. But again, if you've got Best Oracle, Jace, Wheeler Mysteries, Lab Maniac, win, or just, yeah, dig for the exact card that you need. Basically, all the draw that you need to win. Next one's a really fun one. Abyshin Cephalid Emperor. Oh my goodness, I love this janky card. Well, first of all, you can pay blue, 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 and tap all creatures out flying, so that's just nice, actually, a good way to kind of save yourself in combat. But also, tap and untap Cephalid, you control, tap target permanent. This, of course, is a Cephalid, a very, underused creature type. But yeah, you can utilize this to tap down every single one of your opponent's permanents permanently, essentially. Because again, if you are going infinite with this in play, again, if your commander can tap to untap 2 legendary creatures and 1 can untap your commander, this is the second one that's getting untapped, you're going to say, okay, I tap that, tap that, tap that. You tap down all your opponent's permanents, including their lands. It does not say non-land, so your opponents cannot do anything. I mean, I guess they could do some things at instant speed, but that is it. That is the only thing they can do. They can only do instant speed spells because the second their things start, you're going to be like, let's tap down all your lands. You're done. So yeah, that's basically game over right there. And then, of course, one of my favorite cards from my childhood, Arcanus the Omnipotent. Tap, draw 3 cards like Azami. This is like, hey, basically draw your entire library. This can also bounce back to your hand in case you need to save it. But yeah, this is another way to just draw an absurd amount of cards in any kind of an untapped deck. This is already just good without going infinite because you're just going to be like, okay, tap, draw 3, untap it once, tap, draw 3, untap it twice, tap, draw 3. I just drew 9 cards for just like basically nothing. But yeah, when you are going infinite, you can tap it as many times as you need to get to the exact things that you need to win. Another one I do want to bring up that is quite interesting is the Peregrine Dynamo. This one is kind of strange. Haste, pay 1, tap, copy target, activate a triggered ability control from another legendary source that's not your commander. You may choose new targets for the copy. So again, this won't double up your commander's activation, but it will double up other activations of legendary creatures. So of course, there are some weird things that you can do with this one, especially with ones that, well, in a deck that utilizes a lot of activated abilities. So just keep that in mind. And actually, this kind of, goes pretty crazy with something like Val, Kennel, Deep Researcher, Kennel, keep. A 2/3 Vigilant Human Wizard, tap an amount of colorless equal to Val, Kennel Deep's toughness. And so, I mean, if you pump the toughness, you can do more with it. But also, this mana can't be spent to cast spells from your hand. So it is limiting. You can utilize it for abilities. You can utilize it for other effects as well. So yeah, just keep that in mind. You could generate infinite mana in a way with this. But again, we already discussed a way to actually generate infinite mana. Again, like Leyline of Singularity with, like Silvermere, that kind of stuff. So that could be a way to go about it. But yeah, those are the ways currently that I have to really break this as a commander. Again, if it's in the 99 of a deck, it's got a lot of other ways to be broken because you're not just, having access to just blue cards. So there you go. But yeah, let me know in the comments below what you think. Let me know if you think of other ways in mono blue as, this is the commander to break it. If you think of other ways in 99 that this could be broken. If I completely missed something, let me know in the comments below. Of course, this card's very new to me. It's very new to you as well. But yeah, let me know in the comments what your thoughts are on this. If you are interested in this commander, make sure you check out that card list link in the description below. And of course, stay tuned to this channel for more exciting quick takes and spoilers coming up. And as always, thanks again and have a good one. This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. We also have a ton of brand new t-shirt designs in stock, so make sure you check out those as well. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG Player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all of their support.